Have you ever received an email that seemed suspicious? A message that, although it seemed urgent, just didn't feel right? If so, you may have been targeted by a phishing attack. Phishing in the digital world is a form of deception, a trick played by cybercriminals to steal your sensitive information. It's like casting a baited hook into a vast ocean of internet users, hoping someone bites. Now, why should you care? Simply put, understanding phishing is your first line of defense in the digital world. The better equipped you are to recognize these deceptive tactics, the safer your personal and financial information will be. So let's dive deep into the world of phishing, where we'll explore its many forms, its telltale signs, and how you can stay one step ahead of the cybercriminals. In the next few minutes, you'll uncover the hidden depths of digital deception and learn how to protect yourself from phishing attacks. So, what exactly happens during a phishing attack? Let's break it down. A typical phishing attack is a masterclass in digital deception. It begins, innocently enough, with an email, seemingly from a trusted source. This could be your bank, your favorite online store, even a friend or colleague. But here's the catch. The email isn't genuine, it's a counterfeit, a perfect replica created by a cyber criminal. This is what we call a spoofed email. The goal of the spoofed email is to trick you into believing it's from someone you trust. It's designed to look and sound exactly like a genuine email, complete with the correct logos, the right language, and even an email address that's almost identical to the real one. The body of the email usually contains a message of urgency. Maybe your account is about to be suspended or there's been suspicious activity detected. The cybercriminal wants you to panic, to react quickly without thinking. That's when you're most likely to make a mistake. And here's where the real danger lies: the malicious link. This is the cybercriminal's weapon of choice. Hidden within the email, this link leads you to a fraudulent website designed to mirror a legitimate site. And it's here, on this fake site, that the cybercriminal attempts to steal your personal information. You might be asked to log in, to confirm your account details, or to update your payment information. Any information you enter here isn't going to your bank or your online store. It's going straight to the cybercriminal. And just like that, the attack is over. The cybercriminal has what they want: your personal information. They could use this to commit fraud, to steal your money, or to sell your information on the dark web. Now that you know how a phishing attack works, let's talk about how to recognize one. Recognizing a phishing attack can be challenging, especially since attackers are constantly finding new ways to deceive their victims. Phishing attacks aren't always glaringly obvious. In fact, the most dangerous ones are those that are subtly disguised, designed to blend in with the flurry of daily communications we receive. To identify these digital deceptions, you need to know what to look for. One of the most common signs of a phishing attack is a suspicious email address. Attackers often use email addresses that are almost identical to those of legitimate organizations, with minor differences that are easy to overlook. For example, instead of bankofamerica.com, quote, comma, they might use bankofamericas.com, quote, dot. At first glance, it might seem legitimate, but a closer look reveals the deception. Another telltale sign is the sense of urgency in the message. Phishing attacks usually involve a pressing matter that requires your immediate attention. This could range from a warning about a compromised account to an exciting offer that's about to expire. The aim is to provoke a quick response, bypassing your natural instincts to question and verify. Requests for personal information are also a red flag. Your bank, for instance, will never ask you to confirm your account number or password via email. Any communication that asks for sensitive information should be treated with extreme caution. But what about the more subtle signs? Poor grammar and misspellings, for instance, can be indicative of a phishing attempt. Although it's not uncommon for legitimate emails to contain minor errors, a message riddled with mistakes should raise suspicion. It's also worth noting that phishing emails often have a generic greeting, such as "Dear Customer," instead of addressing you by your name. While these signs are helpful in identifying phishing attacks, they're not foolproof. Cybercriminals are continuously refining their tactics, making their attempts increasingly sophisticated. Some phishing emails may even bypass spam filters and appear in your inbox, making them seem all the more legitimate. So, how can you stay ahead of these cyber tricksters? By being vigilant, questioning anything that seems out of the ordinary, and taking the time to verify the legitimacy of a suspicious message. Remember, it's better to be safe than sorry. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Trust your instincts. Phishing attacks pose a real threat, but with the right knowledge, you can significantly reduce your chances of falling victim. By learning to recognize these signs, you're taking an important step towards protecting yourself in the digital world. So you've learned to recognize a phishing attack, but how can you protect yourself from one? Protecting yourself from phishing attacks is all about being vigilant and taking precautions. Phishing attacks are cunning and deceptive by nature, but that doesn't mean you're powerless against them. With the right knowledge and a dash of caution, you can protect yourself from these digital threats. First off, always double-check the email addresses. Phishing emails often come from addresses that closely mimic those of legitimate organizations, but they're not perfect. Look out for small discrepancies, like a misspelled domain name or an extra character. A simple mouse hover over the sender's name can reveal the actual email address. If something doesn't look right, trust your instincts and don't engage. Next, be wary of suspicious links. Phishing emails often lure victims into clicking on malicious links. It could be a prompt to verify your account, claim a prize, or update your password. But before you click, hover your mouse over the link to see where it actually leads. If it doesn't match the context or if the URL seems off, it's safer to avoid clicking. Then, ensure your personal information is secure. Phishing attacks often aim to steal sensitive data like your bank account details, social security number, or login credentials. Be cautious about sharing these details, especially if the request comes via email. Legitimate organizations rarely, if ever, ask for sensitive information through email. When in doubt, reach out to the organization directly through their official contact channels. Also, consider using two-factor authentication, sometimes called 2FA. This adds an extra layer of security by requiring a second form of verification, usually a temporary code sent to your mobile device. Even if a phishing attack manages to steal your password, they won't get far without the second authentication factor. Next, keep your devices and software up to date. Software updates often include patches for security vulnerabilities that phishing attacks might exploit. Regularly updating your devices and applications can provide an additional line of defense against phishing. Finally, develop a habit of regular backups. If you fall victim to a phishing attack, especially one that involves ransomware, having a recent backup of your data can save you a lot of trouble. Remember, phishing attacks prey on haste and fear. They want you to act quickly without thought. But you can counter this by taking a moment to pause and assess the situation. Ask yourself, is this email expected? Does the sender, subject, and content seem legitimate? If you're uncertain, it's always better to err on the side of caution. By following these strategies, you can significantly reduce your risk of falling victim to a phishing attack. Keep these tips in mind, stay vigilant, and you'll be well equipped to fend off phishing attacks. After all, your best defense is staying informed and being prepared. To give you a better understanding of phishing attacks, consider these real-life examples. First, let's look at the infamous case of the CEO fraud. In 2016, a multinational tech firm received an email apparently from their CEO. The email requested an immediate transfer of $23 million to a foreign bank account for an urgent acquisition. The email was crafted skillfully, mimicking the CEO's tone and style. The urgency of the request and the high stakes involved led to the finance team transferring the funds without double-checking. It was later revealed that the email was a phishing attack, and the company fell prey to a costly scam. So how could this have been avoided? By following our earlier advice, always verify requests involving sensitive information or large sums of money. A simple phone call to the CEO could have saved the company millions. Next up, we have the case of the tax scam. In 2017, thousands of people received emails claiming to be from the Internal Revenue Service. The email stated that they were eligible for tax refunds and asked for their bank details to transfer the amount. Many individuals, enticed by the prospect of extra cash, gave away their sensitive information. The prevention here? Remember, the IRS never initiates contact with taxpayers via email about a tax bill or refund. Any such email is a scam. Always be skeptical of unsolicited requests for your personal information. Our third example is the notorious love letter virus from the early 2000s. This phishing attack was disguised as a love letter sent via email. The email contained an attachment named Love Letter for You, Text TVBS. The lesson here? Never open attachments from unknown senders. Even if the email appears to come from someone you know, confirm with them before opening any suspicious attachments. Lastly, we have the case of the COVID-19 scam. In 2020, phishing attacks skyrocketed as cybercriminals exploited the global pandemic. Fake emails offering COVID-19 vaccines or safety tips tricked people into clicking malicious links or sharing personal information. These scams preyed on people's fears and uncertainties about the virus. The takeaway? Always verify the source of information, especially when it relates to sensitive topics. Consult official websites or trusted news sources instead of clicking on links in unsolicited emails. These examples show just how easy it is to fall for a phishing attack if you're not careful. In this video, you've learned about phishing attacks, how to recognize them, and how to protect yourself. We've covered a lot of ground, but let's take a moment to revisit the key points. Phishing, at its core, is a form of digital deception that preys on our trust, our hurried lifestyles, and our digital dependencies. It often begins with a seemingly innocuous email from a trusted source, but lurking beneath the surface is a malicious intent to steal personal information or gain unauthorized access to systems. We dove deep into the anatomy of a phishing attack, dissecting its key features. The spoofed email addresses that mimic those of trusted individuals or organizations. The urgent, panic-inducing messages designed to provoke an immediate, thoughtless reaction. The hidden, harmful links that lead to counterfeit websites, or worse, directly download malware onto your device. We then moved on to the telltale signs of a phishing attempt. The grammatical errors, the generic salutations, the mismatched URLs, and the requests for personal information. Recognizing these signs can be your first line of defense against falling prey to these digital predators. But recognizing a phishing attempt is just half the battle. We also discussed the various ways you can protect yourself from these attacks, keeping your systems and software updated, using strong, unique passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, and never ever clicking on suspicious links or downloading unknown attachments. To drive home the seriousness of this threat, we looked at real-life examples of phishing attacks, from individuals who've had their identities stolen to corporations that have been brought to their knees by a single malicious email. These stories underscore the very real dangers that phishing attacks pose to all of us, every day. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the importance of vigilance in this digital age. Phishing attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and new methods are being developed all the time. It's not enough to simply be aware of these threats. We must be proactive in our defense, constantly updating our knowledge and refining our strategies to stay one step ahead of the cybercriminals. In this digital world, our personal information has become one of our most valuable assets. It's something that needs to be fiercely protected. The best defense against phishing is awareness. Continuous learning, coupled with a healthy dose of skepticism, can go a long way in keeping your personal information secure. So remember, the next time you receive an email asking for urgent action or a link from an unknown source, take a moment to pause and evaluate. Is it a genuine request or a phishing attempt in disguise? Your vigilance could be the difference between staying safe and becoming a victim of digital deception. Remember, the best defense against phishing is awareness. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and keep your personal information secure.